Good morning and welcome to this session of the live coaching classes of the Board of Studies of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. The topic on management administration still continues. There are some, shall we say, topics to be covered in this area. So today I will attempt to finish it for you. We've completed the dynamics of corporate meetings, which is the bulk of this topic, and I would suggest the most important part of this topic. So you should be very thorough with these rules, which we've been seeing, and regarding AGM, EGM, requisition of an EGM, notice, quorum, proxy, these are all important parts of a meeting. Election of chairman, method of voting, right? Adjournments. So we saw all that. Also, poll, how a poll is taken. On a poll, how the voting is done. Voting by postal ballot, e-voting, electronic voting, so on and so forth. Right? We also saw the various types of resolutions. Notice, especially we discussed special notice and how a special notice is given, etc., etc. Right? We now come to the fag end of this topic, which is minutes of proceedings of a general meeting. So, a meeting begins with notice, valid notice containing the statutory declarations, the explanatory statement, etc., given 21 clear days before the date of the meeting. This is important. Now, that is the beginning. Then the meeting is actually convened. Once it is convened, it has to be constituted, which are quorum, etc., etc. Then the business is transacted, right? That is conducted. Everything is over. Vote of thanks to the chair. Meeting concludes. But the work of a company secretary is not concluded, because the meeting will truly come to an end only when the minutes of the proceedings of every general meeting of any class of shareholders or creditors, and every resolution passed by postal ballot, and every board meeting of every committee of the board is prepared and signed in the prescribed manner. For this purpose, you have to keep minutes book separately. We saw this topic yesterday. I'm only going through it again for reinforcement. Very important. When should the minutes be prepared for the meeting? This is important. Within 30 days of the conclusion of every such meeting concerned, or passing of resolution by postal ballot. Friends, an important distinction between a postal ballot and an e-voting. In postal ballot, there is no physical meeting. You simply send the resolutions with the ballot paper and the explanatory statement to the members. The members decide what to do, and within 30 days, they send their decision back. Right? Now, you have to record it in the minutes book. So, every resolution passed by postal ballot should be documented in the minutes book within 30 days from the date of passing of the resolution. In the case of general meeting, within 13 days of conclusion of the meeting. Board meeting also, minutes are to be maintained. Very important, especially board meeting minutes. Because any decision taken by the board, it has to be documented in the minutes. The MD cannot stand up later on and say, yeah, we all thought that is the correct method of doing. When did you think? How did you document it? Was the board meeting actually held? Were all the directors given notice? Did they come? Even if they have not come, it's okay. But did you give notice? Was the resolution passed at a validly conducted board meeting? Etc. Later on, when you come to final syllabus, you will learn more about board meetings. Currently, don't break your head about board meetings, except to know that board meetings also have to be minuted, and that those minutes are to be prepared and signed within 30 days of the conclusion of every such meeting, right? The minutes of the proceedings of board meeting or the committee of a specified IFSC private or public company may be signed and in the manner as may be prescribed. There's nothing prescribed. At or before the next board or committee meeting. So difference is for IFSC private or public company, it is not 30 days. It is at or before the next board or committee meeting. So, and later on when you come to final, you will understand that the gap between two board meetings can be 120 days. So, you have to, 90 days. So, you need not prepare it within 30 days. For the board meeting or committee of the board of a specified IFSC private or public company. I've already mentioned enough about IFSC private or public companies for you not to have any problem. So, good. Happy to see Hitesh Jain, Sushil Kumar Barik, Pooja, of course. So, she is greeting us in the usual manner. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Thank you, madam, and wishing you all the best. Ms. Memon Rafiq Bhai is here, and I'm sure rest of you are here on a Sunday. You are truly, shall we say, suitable for becoming chartered accountants, because only CA students will sacrifice Sunday morning for a boring lecture on meetings, especially minutes and registers, etc., etc. So good, hold on to this. Give your life and soul for the next 2 years, 2.5 years, maximum 3 years. And for your lifetime, you will have no problem. Give your life for the next, for 2.5 years or maximum 3 years. Forget your external life. Be totally involved in this course. Articles, studying, preparing, writing the exam. Of course, you can take a weekend off once in a while. But your focus should be on this course. No other distraction. Not even some other course. Right? But if you do that and you become a member of our institute, we give you a guarantee, lifetime guarantee. You will never be unemployed. And if you are smart and intelligent and you are good, you can go very high. Believe me, but you will never be unemployed, never be poor. You will always be wealthy. How wealthy you are is in your hands. Basic minimum we are assuring. Okay? This is a guarantee given by us. Every member is giving it to you. Not only the institute. The institute is the members. Like the company is the members, the institute is the member. And from experience, we are telling you. We sacrificed 3 years of our life when we were 17, 18, 19, 20. Today, we are happy. Hold on to this thought. Whenever you feel bored, whenever you feel irritated, whenever you want to watch that cricket match or watch that, FDFS, first day, first show, remember, there are going to be so many cricket matches in the future. There are going to be so many first day, first shows in the future. You can always catch up with this. Okay? Sorry, I know this is a useless point, as Swati will say, but then, humble request to take it in the right spirit and be motivated if you want to be. Okay? Wonderful. Moving on. So, IFSC private company, the minutes can be prepared before the next board meeting or committee meeting and signed at that meeting also. Right? See, in those days, in the old law, just for your information, I'm telling you, only for your information, current law, even board meeting, the minutes should be prepared within 30 days of the conclusion of the meeting. But in the old law, all board meeting minutes could be prepared and signed at the next board meeting. See, that is why board meeting alone, the chairman of either this meeting or the chairman of the next board meeting can sign. For all companies. Now, that is not there. The minutes of a board meeting also should be prepared within 30 days, signed by the chairman of that meeting. We will see that. Whereas the minutes of all meetings, only IFSC company, they have given some sort of a exemption. Section 118, which deals with minutes, shall not apply to a Section 8 company as a whole. But except that minutes may be recorded within 30 days of the conclusion of every meeting in case of companies where the articles provide for confirmation of minutes by circulation. So, Section 8 company does not apply. It doesn't mean Section 8 companies will not have minutes. They will also have minutes. And I seriously don't know why they are exempting Section 8 companies from this. Okay. Now we go into the rules relating to minutes. So minutes are the record and evidence of the business transacted at a meeting. No meeting is concluded until the minutes have been properly recorded and signed off. Just having the meeting is not doing any good thing for you. At the end of that meeting, that is why, as I was mentioning in yesterday's class, I have been the secretary of many social organizations. Whenever I am secretary, I will take the notes in the meeting itself. During the meeting itself, I will almost prepare the minutes. I'll keep the laptop there, keep the structure of the minutes. I will just copy paste it and blank it so that, for example, if donkey was elected to the chair in the last meeting, if again donkey is elected, I have no problem. If monkey is elected, I will simply change donkey for monkey. That's all. The line will continue. Mr. Donkey was unanimously elected to the chair. That's done. That's all. So like that, I'll keep on filling the blanks. Okay. And I will also take the notice calling the meeting and copy paste it into this. So that every item of agenda, when it is taken up, automatically I will write what happened. The above resolution was passed as a special resolution. The above resolution was passed unanimously. Also, I will note who proposed and seconded it. So proposed by so-and-so, seconded by so-and-so. The resolution was duly passed, or the resolution was passed as a special resolution. Like that, continuously the minutes will be read. Once it is written and ready, you just have to sign it off. That's all. The minutes of each meeting shall contain a fair and correct summary of the proceedings thereat. Fair and correct. It need not be verbatim. Exact words need not be given there. So long as the spirit is captured, right? Especially with regard to dissenting votes or dissenting voices. See, fairness is when a dissenting voice is captured. Suppose during the meeting, a person stood up, a member or a director, depending on the meeting, a member at the general meeting or a director at the board meeting stands up and gives a negative view. I humbly suggest that the negative view should be captured. Okay, we should say, Mr. J, one of the directors, opined that the proposal is not viable and gave the reason as follows. Please note it, so that even if the vote is against Mr. J, the majority is voting against Mr. J. If he goes on an oppression or mismanagement claim later, we can always say, look here, Baba, you came for the meeting, we heard you. Now we, as the majority, we decided this is how it will be done. Nobody can question it. But suppose you said, keep quiet, Mr. J, don't talk. And then you didn't record his objection at all. That would become a problem later on. When if he complains as a member for oppression, he will say that board meetings were not properly held. Directors, when they wanted to speak something, they were silenced by the chairman. They were not allowed to talk. So how can you prove that they were allowed to talk? One way is to talk whatever you want, Baba. Give you 10 minutes. You talk whatever nonsense you want. At the end of the day, I will record it now. Finally, we will vote. Vote will decide. Okay? That is why it's very, very important to record dissenting voices. As a chairman of meetings, I will always instruct my secretary, or if I am secretary, I will ensure that the dissenting voices are captured in the minutes. All appointments made at any of the meetings aforesaid shall be included in the minutes of the meeting. For example, board may appoint the auditor in the first auditor. A director may be, additional director may be appointed. MD may be appointed. If you remember, when you appoint a managing director at the board meeting, you have to file MGT 14. Okay, do you remember? Okay, so this all appointments should be recorded, etc. A distinct minute book shall be maintained. Minutes book, according to me, I'm sorry, but then the section uses the word minute book. It's okay. It's not as if you keep only 1 minute there. You keep minutes. Actually, minute is also a unit of time. Okay, some of you are recent learners of the English language. Please note, if any word in English may have multiple meanings. So you will have to learn those meanings. The word minute has many meanings. One of which is unit of measurement. 60 minutes make an hour. Okay, since we are recording what happened in a particular time, the word minute has been taken for this also. So minutes are records of what happened or what transpired at a meeting. So these minutes book should be there, a distinct minutes book. It can't be some rough notebook where you simply scribble and keep it. It should be a properly kept minutes book. Okay, and there should be a separate minute book. You can't have a single five subject notebook for all the minutes. No. A separate leather-bound minutes book should be there for general meetings, meetings of creditors, meetings of board, and meetings of committees of the board. Right? The minutes of proceedings of each meeting shall be entered in the books maintained for that purpose, along with the date of such entry within 30 days. Now, see, in the section also they say 30 days. Again, in the rules, they reinforce it. Duplication incarnate is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. They've already said 30 days in the section. Why the hell they will again repeat it? They'll keep repeating it. One day they are going to get into trouble when there is a conflict. They are going to say one thing in the section, another thing in the rules. In which case, a rule or a circular or a notification or a clarification will be subservient to the section. If the section is otherwise clear and unambiguous, no amount of clarification will solve your problem. Okay? Grammatically, if the section makes sense, you cannot say, the ministry cannot say by the clarification, this is what we meant. You mean 100 things. What did you say? That will be. You already studied it in the interpretation of statutes as the first and cardinal rule of interpretation. The rule of strict construction. If the parliament has used certain words, it is assumed that that is what they wanted. You now don't come and interpret us. But these fellows, what they do, they use the rules to circumvent it. Any nonsense, whatever is said in the section, they will say something in the rules. And today, unfortunately, there seems to be some sort of a, the rule that the act will override the rules seems to be given a go by. Many times we say the rules are become almost substantive law. This is unfortunate, and I humbly suggest that this should not be continued. The substantive law is superior to the procedural law. The rules are procedural law. How? The sections are substantive law. What? So you mention what in the section and how in the rules. Don't confuse the two. Don't put what in the rules. If you want something, put it in the section. How? Then this should have come into the rules. It shouldn't be in the section at all, is my humble point. Okay. In case you are having a postal ballot, a brief report on the postal ballot, especially when was the notice dispatched, how many responses were received on which dates, and finally the result of the voting. And the summary of the scrutinizer's report shall be entered, especially how many ballot papers were invalid and why did you say they are invalid, reason for the invalidity. You can't simply, the scrutinizer's report, at least in summary, should be entered in the minutes book. Okay. For example, I have a general meeting, then I have a postal ballot item. So after the general meeting item, this postal ballot item should be entered along with the date. That also should be done within 30 days from the date of passing of resolution. The minutes book of general meetings, board, committee, etc. shall be kept at the registered office of the company and shall be preserved permanently and kept in the custody of the company secretary or any director duly authorized by the board. The minutes of board and committee meetings additionally can be kept in a place as the board may decide. Okay. Each page of every such book shall be initialed or signed, and the last page of the record of proceedings of each meeting shall be dated and signed. Who will sign it? The minutes of a meeting of a board or committee will be signed by the chairman of that meeting or the chairman of the succeeding meeting. Right? So technically the minutes should be prepared within 30 days. Seriously, I'm having a doubt here. See, you are saying the minutes should be prepared within 30 days and signed within 30 days. Right? Signed within 30 days. Okay? Now, minutes should be prepared and signed, right? Now they are saying it can be signed by the chairman of that meeting or by the chairman of the succeeding meeting. Papa, the next meeting may happen, say, 2 months later, 3 months, within 3 months it can be held. Now, who will sign the minutes in the meeting? The next board meeting, how do you know who is the chairman of the succeeding meeting? So, within 30 days, if you want somebody to sign, it has to be the chairman of that meeting only. So, how do I know who will be? Am I God that I can predict the future and say so and so will be the chairman of the succeeding meeting and make him sign? Now, see, earlier, this is the problem. When they amended the law, they simply blindly did things. See, in the old law, they were very clear. Board meeting minutes can be prepared and signed at or before the next board meeting. In which case, the chairman of this meeting or the chairman of the next meeting will sign off. Because when the minutes are prepared and presented at the next board meeting, say 90 days later, the chairman who was presiding over the original meeting may not be there. At the next board meeting, another man may be chairman. He can sign. So that at that time it made sense. For an IFSC, public or private company, it will make sense. Because they can hold it, prepare it before the next board meeting. But for a normal company to which section applies, I doubt if the next board meeting, chairman of the next meeting can sign. My view, I may be wrong. As usual, I'm capable of being wrong. But I don't think as a teacher, I'm only here to teach the law. I'm not here to justify the law. I didn't make the law. The parliament, as advised by the ministry and the undersecretaries, they made the law. So if there is any mistake, it is they who have to understand it, accept it and change it, rather than pushing it down the throat of people by merely giving circulars and clarifications. Okay, minutes of general meeting should be signed by the chairman of the same meeting within 30 days. In case of any event, death or inability of chairman, suppose within 30 days the chairman dies or goes abroad, then a director authorized by the board can sign the minutes of the general meeting. Please remember this, because these are top questions they could ask in the exam, right? Minutes of general meeting to be signed by the chairman of the same meeting. So one of the questions they could ask is, so and so is there. He was the chairman of the meeting. Subsequently, he goes abroad. Who will sign? Any director authorized by the board can sign. The rule followed for minutes of general meeting applies for any resolution passed by postal ballot. So, of course, for postal ballot, there will be no chairman. So, a director or chairman of the board or director authorized by the board will sign the pages. Okay. Minutes book, of course, we'll be seeing it later. Before that, one second. Matters that shall not be included in the minutes. Now, we saw earlier that the chairman of a meeting has a lot of power. He can decide how a meeting is conducted. In the same way, the chairman of the meeting has a lot of say in deciding what goes into the minutes and what does not. Okay? Now, the chairman decides what goes in, what doesn't go. But for that, the guidance is given. Any matter which in the opinion of the chairman of the meeting, A, is or could reasonably be regarded as defamatory of any person. See, at the general meeting, one man stands up and abuses the MD or chairman. He says, you are a fraud, you are a rascal, you are like that. Now, though it is part of the proceedings of the meeting, it does not add any value. It is not a dissenting voice. See, if the gentleman had stood up and politely said, Mr. Chairman, I beg to differ with you. The expenses incurred by this company are excessive. I would like to know why you are incurring these expenses. These are valid questions which can be asked in an AGM. And answer has to be given by the chairman or the MD from this dais. Or the auditor, if he is present, should also answer. They could ask, Mr. Auditor, how have you allowed this to happen? As per the Act, it is like this. Personal expenses should not have been included. I see that these are clearly personal expenses. MD has travelled all the way to Singapore with his family. We know that. I got information. You might have collected some data and come. How can you book it as an expense in the account statement, books of account? Nothing. You have to answer that question or keep your mouth shut and go. That has to be recorded also in the minutes. But suppose this man is simply standing up and shouting. you are a fraud, you are a rascal, like that. That need not be recorded. Something which is irrelevant or immaterial to the proceedings. It does not add any value to the conclusion of the meeting. For example, in the board meeting, Mr. Donkey hits Mr. Monkey with a slipper. Hey, this is between them, they had a fight and they hit each other. One fellow hit the other fellow with the chappal. That need not be recorded in the minutes. Though it happened in the meeting, don't record it beautifully. So, Mr. Donkey. And then later on in the next board meeting, Mr. Monkey will stand up and say, I object, Chairman, the minutes are wrong. Should not, what? I didn't hit him with the right chappal, I hit him with the left chappal, like that. I mean, this is irrelevant or immaterial to the proceedings. Such matters need not be recorded. Is detrimental to the interests of the company. Okay, where it will create some negative impact about the company, it need not be entered in the minutes. Okay, minutes of board meeting and general meetings are inspectable. We will see who can inspect it. Okay, so at that time I will tell you why it could become detrimental to the interest of the company. The chairman shall exercise absolute discretion in regard to the inclusion or non-inclusion of any matter in the minutes on the grounds specified above. Absolute discretion means he decides finally whether it goes or not. He has the power. Nobody else can say what should go, what should not go. Which is why tomorrow, if any action is taken against him, if he is not fair, that fairness, lack of fairness could come there. See, if genuinely somebody is making a point which is valid, you can't include it in this category and say it is irrelevant or immaterial. There the chairman should use his discretion, which is includable, which is not included. Okay? And that is why being a chairman of the meeting is a very important position. Right? Okay. I will answer Kiranji's question once I conclude this, all the points. Right? The minutes of the board meetings to be included, shall also contain the names of the directors present at the meeting. And in the case of each resolution passed at the meeting, the names of the directors, if any, dissenting from or not concurring with the resolution. So they make it compulsory. The section itself says, hey, if there are dissenting walas, you mention their name clearly. I humbly suggest that you go beyond that. Not only mention the name of the dissenting director, also record what was the dissent he expressed. Also mention how we overcame it or what argument we gave to say. Finally, the majority wins there. Please understand that. Later on in final syllabus, you will understand. Oppression and mismanagement topic, you will understand majority wins. That is how it works. And on a poll, number of shares, number of votes. So those who have invested more will take the decision. Those who have invested less will have to keep quiet. This is the logic of corporate democracy. But while the majority shall have its way, the minority shall have its say. And their dissenting voice should be noted. That is the fairness in this whole matter. No document purporting to be a report of the proceedings of any general meeting of a company shall be circulated or advertised at the expense of the company, unless it includes matters required by this section to be contained in the minutes of the proceedings. So, casually you cannot write some nonsense and send it to the members at the expense of the company as a minutes. It should be in accordance with these rules. Then a company can circulate minutes of the general meetings to its members. Nothing wrong. Okay. Every company shall observe secretarial standards with respect to general and board meetings specified by the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and approved as such by the central government. You need not know the secretarial standards. It's enough if you know that there are secretarial standards. Okay. In the same way that the company secretaries learn that there are accounting standards in India is, of course, there they actually broadly understand, I mean, seriously, okay, they can't go into the depth of it, but we give them a broad overview. Hey, this is what the standard is all about, this is what that standard is all about. Like that, you should know that there are some secretarial standards which are specified by the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. I mean, silly things like what is the notice period to be given, like that. They will have given some rules which you have to comply, right? The Ministry of Corporate Affairs has made these standards mandatory. Some of these standards are mandatory, so companies have to comply with them. Okay. Earlier, when the institute came out with the secretary, ICSA came out, I was also in one of the discussion panels I attended, and they were prescribing standards. I made a humble point. I said, look here, you can prescribe secretarial standards, but you cannot prescribe a standard which is contradicting the act or the rules. There were one or two like that. Now they have corrected it, and within the framework of the Companies Act. See, if you ask, sir, if secretarial standard says something and the act itself says something else, what do I do? You should do what the act says. Okay. That is my view again. Even if it is mandatory, act should prevail, is what I would say. So actually my humble view is where the act is clearly talking about something, there is no need for a secretarial standard. Where the act is loosely drafted and doesn't talk about it, you might want to strengthen it by saying, hey, you can't do it like this. This is how you have to do it. Maybe prescribe some best practices, a standard operating procedure to be followed by all of us, so that the whole thing becomes uniform. See, the ultimate purpose of any standard, accounting standard, secretarial standard, quality standard is there should be a uniform code of best practices that all of us will practice. So that is the purpose of a standard. Within that framework, we can always have standards which are good. I already mentioned this now. Any minutes which is kept in accordance with the provisions of this section shall be evidence of the proceedings recorded therein. Where the minutes have been kept in accordance with this section and the rules made thereunder, then until the contrary is proved, the meeting shall be deemed to have been duly called and held. All proceedings duly have taken place, and the resolutions passed by postal ballot to have been duly passed. Okay. All appointments, etc., of directors, etc., valid. We already saw this in the last class. That is why minutes are so important. If the minutes are correctly kept, updated, and signed off, and kept. Now to answer, let's see the penalty also. If there is a default, if you do not maintain the minutes of any meeting, if the minutes of any meeting is not prepared and signed within 30 days, then penalty of 25,000 rupees per meeting. For each meeting, 25,000 rupees. Because any meeting he says. So, if you AGM minutes not prepared and signed, 25,000. EGM minutes not prepared and signed, 25,000. Board minutes not prepared and signed, 25,000. Okay. Earlier, this was 500 rupees per meeting. Then it became 5,000. When the 99 amendment, when this amendment came, they made it 5,000 rupees. And finally, today they made it 25. See, I was a consultant for various public issues on secretarial matters, because I'm also a company secretary by qualification. I'm a company secretary, though I practice as a chartered accountant. My COP is ICA COP. I don't hold the ICSA COP, but I used to be a consultant. As a chartered accountant, I can do anything. I can do cost consulting. I can do consulting in cost accounting, which I used to do. I can do secretarial consulting. I can do tax consulting. I can do anything. You can do anything. Chartered accountant we can do anything. There is no restriction. We can do whatever we want. Whereas it's very difficult for them to get into taxation and accounting standards. We can go wherever we want. So I used to be a consultant for, these public issues and all. It's a very long story. I don't know how to quickly tell you. See, what happened is that, you remember your prospectus. Do you remember I told you, I will tell this when I come to minutes. So at that time, the minutes, see what happened was, the prospectus will be vetted by the Register of Companies. Means scrutinized by the ROC before registration. So the merchant banker had already got the in-principle acceptance from SEBI. So they called me and said, Srikanji, we need it tomorrow because issue has to be launched the day after tomorrow. So I need the ROC's certificate of registration of prospectus tomorrow. In the evening, 6 o'clock, he calls. So next day morning, 10 a.m., I go to the office, ROC's office, and I sit with him. He vets it. Everything is all right. Okay. Mostly it's okay. Now, there, in one of the points in the prospectus, we have disclosed that one of the directors of the company is interested in the transaction of where this company has purchased land. We have also disclosed the valuation. There is nothing illegal, except that under the Companies Act, when any transaction, related party transaction, or where the director is interested, approval has to be given at a meeting of the board. The approval for that transaction should be given by the board only at a meeting of the board, board meeting. So the ROC casually, in fact, he was my teacher. Incidentally, the ROC was my teacher. So he was, okay, Srikanth, okay, Srikanth. Then suddenly he said, Srikanth, board minutes is the board minutes available? I said, sir, board minutes are there, sir, no problem. Like that. No, I want to see it. Yo, time are dates. I have to get that registration tomorrow, the public issue. I will produce it to you, sir. You please give the clearance today. Tomorrow I will come and show. He got a little tight and he said, sir, Srikanth, no, I want to see the minutes now. Sir, it is not available here, sir. I have not brought it with me like that. I told. Then he said, Srikanth, where is the registered office of this company? So that was in Chennai. The fellow was in somewhere in Alvarpet or somewhere. I said, sir, then I realized, oh my God, Alvarpet. He said, if it's in Alvarpet, Srikanth, post lunch, you bring the minutes and show to me. Very innocently, he told, and he closed the paper and sent me off. Problem is, I have not maintained the minute. I promised to do it. I agreed to do it, but I have not. I knew I can always prepare it and keep it. Okay, get it signed by these Valas and all. I mean, my mistake, okay? That's the problem. Then, but I couldn't. So I can't go now and do it as if between 12:30 p.m. and 1:45 2, I can't. And the category merchant banker is putting his knife on my neck and shouting. So I went and I don't know what to do, Captain. Then I referred to the section and then I came back. And then in the afternoon, 2:30, he met him. No, I took my purse out and I gave him 500 rupees. He said, what are you doing, Srikanth? What is this nonsense? No, sir, you please clear that, sir, as a favor for me. Then why are you giving me 500 rupees? I said, sir, that is the penalty for not writing the minutes of the board meeting, sir. We have not maintained the minutes, sir. Here's the penalty. Take it, sir, 500 rupees. He was shocked. He said, Srikanth, 500 rupees. Once, sir, 500 rupees for one time. Not, see, equal to this 25,000 is 500 rupees. And there was no continuing officer in default penalty. Only for company, 500 rupees per meeting. Those days. He was shocked. He referred to the section. He said, this is too much. He was so shocked in that, no, he forgot about the minutes itself. He signed it, cleared it. I came running out. I gave it to the category merchant banker and we escaped. Okay. Then later on he goes and he becomes a director in the department. At that time it was not ministry, it was still department. Where they gave him the opportunity to amend the law. No, first thing he did was he amended this section 199, if I remember right, of the old law. He amended it and he said, board meeting minutes, if not maintained, penalty 5,000 rupees per meeting. So at that time it became 5,000. And then he called me and said, Srikanth, 5,000 rupees. No, again, a chartered accountant cannot make do like this to me, like that. It's a very interesting story. I always like to share it with my students. But now they've made it 25,000 rupees per meeting. And in case you are an officer of the company, especially a company secretary, 5,000 rupees per meeting. Okay. So better we maintain the minutes correctly, right? This story is told more as a practical example rather than to waste your time. Because what is the point in learning all these laws and stuff and all that if you don't know how to apply it in the real life? Not only in the exam. In the real life, you should know how to quickly remember the law and apply it in a given situation. And bottom line, your company should be able to proceed with what they want to do. Your client should be able to proceed with what they want to do without violating the law. Okay, without violating the law, we should be able to help them out and move on, okay, with their goals. If anybody is found guilty of tampering with the minutes, tampering means already entered minutes, you are altering it and all that. That's a serious offense because minutes once prepared and signed correctly are evidence in a court of law, prima facie evidence. So anybody tampering with it is guilty of criminal offense. So imprisonment for a term which may extend to 2 years and with fine, which shall not be less than 25,000 up to 1 lakh. The imprisonment is very serious. And this is not a compoundable offense, which means you cannot escape conviction. You have to go to jail. Right? But suppose in any section you find fine or imprisonment or only fine, in those cases, you can apply to the central government, RD, fall at his feet, or tribunal as the case may be, depending on the amount of the fine. You go to either the RD or the tribunal, they will excuse you. You pay a compounding fee and they will withdraw the complaint before the High Court, before the Magistrate Court. They will withdraw the complaint and they will mark as not guilty. This will be very relevant to you when you come to final. Why compounding and all that will be there in final. Right now, you please look out. Any section which uses the word fine and imprisonment is dangerous. Whereas if it says fine or imprisonment or only fine, you got a chance, is the point. So, we will see inspection a little later. I have 2 questions which I have yet to answer. Kiran is asking, even to this date, are minutes book maintained or is it stored in systems? Actually, under the current law, I am not aware, madam. But in the old law, there was a circular which said minutes can be maintained in computer printout. Electronic form, no. It has to be printed, signed. See, you have to sign it now. How will you sign? So, for that you have to print it. What you can do is, you need not write it physically. You can type it, print it, sign it, but it has to be bound. It should be kept in a bound book. So, once in a quarter or once in a year, you can bind it. If you are able to do that, then you can print it out. You need not write it, but it cannot be stored in systems, is my humble view. Unless, as of now, there is no clarity. I am not aware. There is no circular which says you can do this. There is no way we have done it. It should be physically kept. Bound book. Okay, is what my view. I may be wrong. To my knowledge, I don't see any evidence to the contrary. Earlier there was a circular. Even that circular is not there now, where they said minutes need not be handwritten. They could be printed out and kept in a Kalamazoo files. Okay, and then provided at frequent intervals they are bound. The pages should be serially numbered and every page should be signed by the chairman of that meeting. For general meetings, chairman of that meeting within 30 days. So, as of now, this is how it is. But I agree, it can be stored in digitally signed forms and all. I'm not aware. I don't think they've given you permission for that. They have not given you as of now. Maybe by the time you become a member, they would permit that. Because after all, you're storing it. See, today we have digitally signed documents, right? In fact, the MCA itself has got digitally signed documents where you don't have to physically sign it. You simply have to affix your digital signature. Can be done. Tampering means changing in an unauthorized manner. Tampering means making changes in an unauthorized manner. Okay, tampering. Meddling with it. You change it in an unauthorized manner. Sir, the word defamation we saw earlier when we spoke about, I think, circulation of members' resolution. We said the statements, which have to be circulated need not be circulated if they secure needless publicity to a defamatory matter. Sir, if you tell something truthful about a person, it may be bad, but if it is truth, then it is not defamation, sir. But suppose you tell something bad about a person which is false, that is called defamation, sir. You tell that fellow is a rascal, he is a rogue, he is a fraud in public. Sorry, that amounts to defamation because you are making a negative comment about a person which can spoil his reputation, and you are doing it without proof. But suppose you have proof and it is the truth. See, if a minister is corrupt and he is caught red-handed by the vigilance department along with the undersecretary, now the newspaper can publish it. You say, so-and-so minister is a fraud, he is a corrupt. But suppose they don't have any proof. Simply they put, is it possible that he is a fraud? There is a strong opinion that he is a fraud. Whose opinion? So all this would amount to defamation. right? So if you tell the truth, it is not defamation. Proof with proof. But without proof, if you tell anything about a person spoiling his reputation, if you say it by words of mouth and many people hear it, it becomes slander. That is why in a meeting of a company and all, if you say it, all the other members are hearing about it, it becomes a defamation, right? So that should not be given publicity. It should be, that's why chairman has the right. Of course, the affected party can also sue the company or the person, the affected party can also sue the guy who made that negative statement, civil suit. Okay. Suppose as a chartered accountant, somebody makes a wrong statement that I have asked for some benefits for signing the balance sheet without having any proof. Then, and if he publicizes it or sends it to somebody and makes it known to somebody, I can file a suit against him for damages. I have done it against one fellow because I had the proof that he was lying and I proved it. And then I sent a legal notice to that fellow. And I said, you have to pay me damages because for a chartered accountant or anybody for that matter, the reputation is more important. Am I correct? I might have mentioned it also in my last class. Ozhukkam, Viluppam Tharalam, Ozhukkam Uyirinum Ambappadu. Because virtue is so great. Okay, it gives us, it is the only thing that is important. It is more important even than your life. Honor and virtue are to be preferred above the external advantages of rank and fortune, even above your life. Okay, so that is why reputation, if somebody spoils the reputation, that's called defamation. If you print and bind it, then we can't add further minutes. That's exactly the problem, Pooja. So you have to keep waiting for 1 quarter or 2 quarters, and then usually what we do is we keep it in Kalamazoo binders and then leather binders, and then once it's accumulating to say 20-30 pages, we will bind it. I totally agree with you. 1 book for every meeting. If it is handwritten, then we may write as many. Agreed. I prefer to write minutes by hand. In fact, for many of the organizations where I am a secretary, I was a secretary, I used to maintain. For one organization, I was a secretary. We had 15 meetings in that year. So I waited for the end of the year before I handed over my duty as a secretary to another person. Before I handed over, I bound it and put it in a single book, serially numbered pages. Okay? And then I handed over the bound book with it was printed from the computer pages. I printed it on very good executive bond, good acid-free paper. And because it will be preserved for a long time. And I bound it in calico and I gave it. And I asked the future secretaries also to do that. So that every year there will be 1 book, bound book. This is something you can try. Okay. So if you print and bind it, then we can't add further minutes. Agreed. I mean 1 book for every meeting. No, 1 book for a year, like that we can have. If it is handwritten, then we may write as many minutes. Agreed, madam. Yeah, I will do that. Chalo, moving. So inspection of minutes means, inspection means somebody will be given an opportunity to come and read it. So who can inspect? The books containing the minutes of the proceedings of any general meeting shall be kept at the registered office of the company. Please, very, very important. In fact, it's so important, I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to put it in red. Right? And I'm going to. This is very important. The minute you see, okay, what is this? Whenever you see inspection proceedings, first thing you have to ask yourself is, who can inspect it? Sometimes inspection can be done by anybody, even public. Sometimes inspection can be done only by member. Please note, my dear friends, minutes of general meeting will be kept at the registered office. It will be open for inspection to any member without charge, which is why you have to be very careful, because member may be anybody, ma'am. Somebody may be holding 2 shares in your company. He may also be holding a competitor company shares, or he may be a competitor. Now, such a person will have access to minutes. So, general meeting. But nobody can have access to board minutes. Board minutes are private. They cannot be seen by the member. But general meeting minutes can be inspected by a member without charge, subject to reasonable restrictions. Okay. Means the company can say you can come only during this time. But whatever it is, at least 2 hours in each business day shall be allowed for inspection. And also, if somebody wants a copy of that minutes, the person should be given, the member should be given within 7 days. But for that, he may have to pay a fee, copying fee. Okay? Some payment of fee. Right? But today, suppose he wants a copy, we'll simply scan it and send it to him. No cost is there. No paper cost. Just scan it and send it to him. Or if you have a PDF copy, just send it to him. Okay? No problem. So he can inspect the minutes. He can come and inspect the physical minutes also. But what we will do is, there will be a separate room or a small cubicle where we'll permit him to do it, but we will ensure that he doesn't have any pen or permanent writing instrument. Maximum, if he wants to take notes, we'll give him a pencil and say, go in. Because he should not tamper, he should not do some alterations. Right? In case you do not give opportunity for inspection, then the penalty is 25,000 for the company and 5,000 for every officer in default. Now, in case you don't permit inspection of minutes book of general meetings, then tribunal can direct inspection of the minutes books. Okay? Or direct that the copy required shall forthwith be sent to the person. Immediately it has to be sent, who was affected by the refusal or default. So, power of tribunals also. Board minutes cannot be inspected. Who can inspect it? Another director can inspect it. That goes without saying. At the board meeting, the minutes book will be there. He can see it. Director can do it. Member cannot do it. Public cannot see. And public cannot inspect the minutes of a general meeting also. Right? Because it's a private affair of the company. Got it? Any member shall be entitled to be furnished within 7 days after he has made a copy of any minutes. We already saw that. This is in the rules. Okay, a sum of 10 rupees for each page. You can charge him some money also. Okay, maximum 10 rupees per page. Okay. When you are making a request for soft copy in respect of any minutes of any previous general meeting held during a period immediately preceding 3 financial years, he shall be entitled with this to be furnished in free of cost. That is what I said. Suppose you have a PDF image or a PDF version, you can't charge it. Simply send it to him. It's so easy today to give him the minutes. Simply scan it, keep the PDF ready. Whenever somebody asks, give it. That's all. Right? Last section in this chapter, before we go to registers, not meetings, we still have one more topic to cover, registers and returns. Every listed company or a company having at least 1,000 shareholders, debenture holders and other security holders may maintain its records as required to be maintained in electronic form. Okay. Every listed company or a company having at least 1,000 shareholders, etc., may maintain its records as required to be maintained in electronic form. So, to answer Kiran's question, if you're a listed company having at least, or a company having at least 1,000 shareholders or debenture holders, you can maintain even minutes in electronic form. Okay. The managing director, company secretary, or any other director decide shall be responsible for the maintenance and security of electronic records. Means you will upload it into your server by digital signature so that you will know who uploaded it. So finally the minutes will be prepared and digitally signed by the chairman. The records maintained in electronic form shall be made available for inspection by the company in electronic form so that there should be a portal where he can come and inspect it. Okay. Copies of the records maintained in e-form containing a clear reproduction of the whole should be provided on payment of not exceeding 10 per page. I'm not aware of any company that has done this for minutes or for the matter anything. Register of members, yes, in electronic form. They only maintain it in electronic form because the share transfer agents will be having the register of members where it is in electronic form only. It is in the database in the server of this share transfer agent. It will be given. Register of members and all I have seen. Register of debenture holders, etc., etc. Minutes books, yet to see it in electronic forms. It is still in printed form only, bound. Okay, as I have seen it. Now, some sections do not apply to an one-person company. Provisions of section 98, 100, that is AGM, EGM, 111 shall not apply to one-person company. Any business which is required to be transacted at an AGM or other general meeting of a one-person company means by means of an ordinary or special resolution is sufficient. Okay, so how it will be done? The resolution is communicated by the member to the company and entered in the minutes book required to be maintained. So what happens is the member, it's simply an affidavit in that. What happens is ideally the one person should sign an affidavit. I, the so-and-so one-person company, so-and-so have decided as follows or have resolved as follows. 1, 2, 3, and it should be communicated to the company, entered in the register. It should be signed and dated by the member, and such date shall be deemed to be the date of the meeting. Ideally, I would say do it as an affidavit, declaration in legal form, 20 rupees stamp paper, get it notarized also. So tomorrow there is no problem. Okay. So this is the applicability. Where there is only one director on the board, any business which is required to be transacted at the meeting of the board, it shall be sufficient if that one-person company, the resolution is entered in the minutes books, signed and dated by such director, and that date shall be deemed to be the date of the meeting. So, okay, so one-person company, they made it simplified, right? So with this, we are completing, shall we say, one aspect of meetings. We are yet to see registers and returns. That is why I have taken an extra class. Otherwise, we could have rushed somehow and finished the topic. So let us finish registers and returns also quickly. It's a very, very boring topic, pure theory. I may even skip some portions of the slides because they will be repetitive. Okay, so we are not going to talk about registers and returns. See, up to now we have been seeing meetings. Now we are going to talk about registers. Why should there be registers? Because company is an artificial person. How do we know what happened? Unless there is a continuous and permanent record of events, etc., etc. So, all artificial entities should have properly maintained registers. So that if the officers change, ownership changes, still we will have a permanent record of transactions, etc., etc. So, there are certain statutory registers and returns which are to be compulsorily maintained by the company. We also saw maintenance of registers and returns in electronic form. You can do it in electronic form also, provided you are a listed company, a company having not less than 1,000 shareholders or debenture holders. Otherwise, it's in manual form, right? In fact, those days, we used to have that already pre-printed formats of the register available with some legal booksellers. So the minute we form a company, we'll buy that combined register will be there. We'll keep it for and we will update it. Right? So some of the important registers are register of members governed by Rule 3 and also register of debenture holders governed by Rule 4 and index of names of members, etc., and certain rules about maintenance of these registers. Section 89 deals with declaration in respect of beneficial interest in any share. We'll talk about it when we come to 89. 90, register of significant beneficial owners. 91, power to close register of members or debenture holders, etc. for a certain period. It's very, very simple topic. I'm going to just run through it so that if I have some time, I want to work out some problems also, if possible. Okay. So every company has to maintain the register of members in form MGT1 from the date of registration. Obviously, what will it contain? Yeah, use your logic. It will have the registered folio, or it will have the unique shareholder identity number. It will have the name of the member, right? Age, date of birth maybe, to say that he is not a minor, and the address, email ID, mobile number. It's a logic. Number of shares held, very important. Also, whenever he buys the shares, we will keep updating it. On whenever a transfer is registered, it will be recorded. It will be like a ledger, where as he buys, it will be debit side. It's like a stock. So it will be. So for each member at any stage, we will know what is the number of shares he is holding net. So when he bought, when he sold, whenever we register a transfer, we will make an updation here. So this is how the register of members should be prepared. That is form MGT1. This can be kept in electronic form also. But mainly you should show how many equity shares or preference shares he is having today. The entry should be made in the register within 7 days of the approval by the board or committee of the allotment or transfer of the shares or debentures or any other securities, as the case may be. So within 7 days of date of allotment or transfer, you have to update the register of members. See, unlisted companies, private companies, they will maintain it in manual form. It will be done by a company secretary, or they may hire a practicing company secretary to do it. Listed companies and large companies, they hire share transfer agents who will monitor it and maintain the register of members in electronic form, for which they will be paying a certain fee. Just like payroll processing for employees, per member they will pay for maintaining the register of members. Right? Where should the register be maintained? The register shall be maintained at the registered office of the company. But if a special resolution is passed in a general meeting, the register of members, or small o-m, register of members, right? Register of members. So if you pass a special resolution in a general meeting, you can have it in any other place within the city, town or village in which the registered office is situated, or any other place in India in which more than 1/10 of the total members entered in the register of members reside. See, it may be that the registered office of your company is in some remote district in Gujarat, but your members are all residing in, for example, okay, Vadodara, whereas your registered office is somewhere in some remote district in a village. Now you can maintain the register of members at Vadodara provided more than 1/10 of the total members reside in that city, in that place. It's a choice. But you have to pass a special resolution in a general meeting in this regard. See, this is where they will ask you questions, yeah, where they will ask you, so and so company wants to maintain its registered office. I mean, minutes at a place. They may even give the story like this. It wants to maintain it at some other place. Then they might give you the total number of members, and they'll say so and so of them. Just see it's 1/10, and then answer. Okay. See, multiple choice questions have their limitations in terms of setting and in terms of answering. For setting, some questions are straightaway yes or no answers. Some questions are straightaway logic related answers, whether you can do it or not do it. Is it valid or invalid? Such cases, it will be very difficult to set multiple choice questions without revealing the answer. Ultimately, you will end up revealing the answer because it's so obvious. We'll see that when I come to that. The point is, sometimes open questions are better, where the student will get an opportunity to give his argument or her argument and logic analytically. But unfortunately, MCQs are becoming very popular and rage. With digitalization and digital thing, MCQs are easy to answer. 1, 2, 3 like that. So we're going to use that. But then sometimes institute still prefers to ask analytical questions. Okay? Where you have to apply your brain, analyze, give a logical argument. See, the problem with the MCQ for the student is, suppose there is a mistake in the question. That's it, gone. You cannot write anything. You cannot explain. You cannot assume. Nothing you can do. You have to choose one among the 4. If you can't choose it, or if you choose wrongly, you are gone. If the institute has made a mistake, or it happened, KC's institute 2 times, there are errors in the question. It has been accepted by the institute. MCQ, this is the problem. Could be there. And that's even setting MCQ for me is a dangerous thing. Whenever I set MCQ, I'm worried what mistake I will make, how I will get caught. So it's a nuisance for me. For one thing is students who are not very comfortable in writing, whose handwriting is bad, they like MCQ because you can just shade and go. But in the long run, your ability to fluently express yourself in English is going to be very valuable skill. Okay? If you may skip it for the examination purpose, if finally you can't go to the client and say, give me 4 options, I will choose. The client wants a proper explanation fluently in English, or maybe in Hindi or Gujarati or Malayalam or Tamil or whichever language you prefer. But some language you should be able to fluently explain to him what the provision is, how it is affecting him, and what is the possible way out. This skill has to be built by a member. Whether you like MCQ, good. But maybe you will clear the exam with MCQ. But still, you should build the skill of fluently explaining the law or the provisions of income tax to a layman in such a way that they will understand the implication, the seriousness. Also, you may be able to give a solution to them and make them understand why that is the better option. This is what is being tested in the final examination. Your ability to do this, which means grammatical fluency in a language like English would be an advantage, right? Unless you are writing the exam in Hindi, then no problem. Fluency in Hindi would be needed, okay? Be sure that even at least in Hindi, you can write clear and professional sentences. That's all, okay? Now, reference to be made in the ROM in respect of any order of attachment passed by the competent authority attaching the shares or relating to dividends. The particulars of any charge, lien. Do you remember when there is a lien? When the fellow is owing money to the company can create a lien on the shares, in which case he cannot exercise his voting right. Now, if there is any charge or lien or pledge or hypothecation, or if any order of attachment has been passed by any competent authority, that has to be noted in the register of members. In that folio, you have to clearly mention. For example, if the promoters are having shares, for purpose of raising money, they have pledged the shares. Pledge means to give movable property as security for a loan. Pledge means to give movable property as security for a loan. Hypothecation also same. Where any movable property is given as a security for a loan, there is a pledge or a hypothecation. Right, sir? So, if I have given my shares as a pledge, for example, my broker said, Mr. Srikanth will give you credit facility. So, even if you don't pay T+2, you can go on. But for that, you have to pledge some of your shares. So, I pledged my TCS shares, which is more than sufficient to cover the limit. And so, in my DP account, it is marked, pledged. So that I cannot sell that share unless the pledge is removed. Which means, unless I make the payment to the broker fully, he won't release the pledge. This has to be noted in the register of members also, okay, of the company. So my DP will inform to the depository department will inform to the depository will inform to the company or the share transfer agent, who will then mark the pledge. That's all this is done in digital formats today, online. There is a beauty of listed companies. There is no manual. But for unlisted companies and private companies, it has to be written in manual. In the case of a company not having a share capital, the register shall contain. Not having a share capital, they should contain these things. I'm going to skip this. You can read it for yourself. It's all standard, right? Now, similarly, to register of members, the company should also maintain register of debenture holders, right? Any change in the status of the member or debenture holder, etc., should also be updated in the register of members or register of debenture holders respectively. Okay. Suppose there's a death or insolvency, or we have been sending dividend to his bank account and for 7 years the dividend is not getting credited, then I'll have to transfer it to the Investor Education and Protection Fund. You have learnt about it when you learnt about dividend. So when that amount is transferred to IEPF, you have to make a note in the register of members. Right. Now, index should also be maintained, because suppose I want to look up your member quickly. So I've got a lot of members now. How to know to go which folio? So there should be an index. See, whenever you read a book, you'll have a contents page, right? Similarly, many international published books, not in India. In India, we don't give an index at the end of the book. In India, sadly, publishers do not provide subject index at the end of the book or chapter index at the end of the book. They have a contents page where chapter headings are given, page number is given. That is content. At the end of the book, there will be an index. All international books, non-fiction or research or reference books will have an index at the end. Wherein, suppose I want to, for example, if I'm in fact, Professor K. Santharaman's lectures on company law published by Butterworth Swadva has an index. So you want to look up special notice. Then you'll go to the index. Yes, under yes, you'll see special notice. There it will give you the number of pages where this is referred. Index is very important. In fact, in India, many publishers do not publish index. Very casually they publish books, especially reference books and textbooks. Okay. So index is very important. I should be able to locate the folio of a member by looking up his name. So alphabetically, it's like a directory. Directory. So like that you should have one. But so if you are maintaining it in electronic form, you have no problem, You start typing out the name, automatically the drop-down menu will come. So if you say Rajesh Kumar Sethia, so you start typing Rajesh, automatically all the Rajeshes will come. Kumar, then it will be filtered, Rajesh Kumar. Then once you go to Sethia, then only one fellow will be there. Click on that guy, you will go to his folio. Right? Now, the index also should be simultaneously updated with the register. Maintenance of index is not necessary where the number of members is less than 50. It's a less than 50, boss. It's a small book here. I just scroll through it, you'll get it. Even then, when we maintain register of members, we automatically update the index for our own reference purpose. Right? Now, the register and index of beneficial owners maintained by a depository under section 11 shall be deemed to be the corresponding register and index. Suppose you are maintaining in electronic form, as I told you, there is no problem at all. The share transfer agent or the depository participant will maintain it for you. He or they will see to it that it is in order. Now we go to foreign register, an interesting and important area. If in case you have shareholders who are outside India, then you can maintain a register of foreign register. A company which has share capital or which has issued by debentures or any other security, if so authorized by its articles, keep in any country outside India, a part of the register of members or debenture holders or other security holders or of beneficial owners resident in that country. Suppose you have issued shares to Japanese people and Japanese people are holding shares in your company. You have got FEMA permission, FDA and all that. So about 100 Japanese people have invested in your company. Now, with respect to those Japanese fellows, you can have a foreign register of members. In Japan, in Tokyo or Osaka, you can maintain a register for their benefit. This register will be referred to as foreign register. Foreign register is optional. Because you have members in that country, it is not compulsory. But if you want, if you are authorized by your articles, you can. Now, once you open a foreign register, within 30 days from the date of opening of a foreign register, you should file with the ROC notice of situation of that foreign office in the prescribed form number MGT3. So, Register of Members MGT1, Register of Debenture Holders MGT2, Notice to the ROC on situation of foreign register MGT3. Any change in the situation of such office, etc., it shall be informed to the ROC within 30 days, again in form number MGT3. So that the ROC should know, right? Foreign register shall be deemed to be part of the main register in the same format as the principal register if it is MGT1 or MGT2. Entry shall be made by the board of directors or its duly constituted committee once it approves. It is similar to regular register here. Once your allotment is made, shares are made, it should be updated. Okay. The company can always discontinue keeping of any foreign register. Then those entries shall be transferred to the regular register. Okay. To the principal register. A fairly theoretical one. This is all theoretical topic. There is no analytical thing here. There is nothing to, I mean, if you want to get confused about it, you can, but there is nothing great to be analytical about here. See, if you are a listed company or a company having 1,000 shareholders and above, debenture holders and above, you may maintain it you shall maintain it in electronic form. Otherwise, no, electronic form is not compulsory. Ms. Neeraj, I am teaching the subject. I think I am teaching for number 22. Bulk of what we are learning will be applicable to May 2023. Bulk. Okay. Bulk of what you are learning will be applicable to May 2023. But between now and May 2023, the ministry may come out with amendments, if at all. So there, what I said just now, this bulk, 95% of what you are learning here is not 98% of what you are learning here will be there. But before you go for your May 2023 examination, please download the RTP where they will give you the updated amendments and all. Or maybe at that time, see, if I am teaching, I will update. But if you want, I want to attend this session, so no problem. These notes can be kept. But just the amendments need to be noted and updated. That's all. Otherwise, this will be more than sufficient. Okay, I understand. So that is how it is. Register of members of a listed company or a company having 1,000 shareholders or more can be maintained in electronic form. But other companies, physical form. Okay, we saw that there. So for listed company, 1,000 and above shall be in electronic form. Other companies want to maintain in electronic form, they can, but very costly. Because electronic form does not mean Word document. Hello, Word, not Word document or scanned image. You should create a secure database. You should secure folder where it should be uploaded using digital signature, etc., etc. So unless you do that, then it is not. Simply keeping it in your laptop in a scanned image is not electronic form. That is why you may not want to do it. Thank you, Pooja, for that. I'm so happy that some students at least are able to understand the danger of MCQ questions and how they are detrimental to the long-term, growth of the profession. Because if too much MCQ is used, that is my view. See, today, many people won't agree with what I'm saying. 5 years later, they will say, what I told today is correct. This has been my experience over the last 50 years of my life. When I say something, people will say, you are an idiot, you don't know anything. Later on, they will realize the mistake and then they will change it. But by then I would have been safely protecting myself. Whereas they would have gone into trouble, then they will change it. It is not a good idea, is what I would humbly like to suggest. But then, today, see, fashion, trend, latest. No, what is good is always good. Thousands of years, what is good will always be good. Okay? But what is fashionable today may not be good in the long run. Okay? It may not have. So what we should see is what is our goal here, and then accordingly we should go. MCQ, see, I have written my CISA examination, Certified Information Systems Auditor examination, CISA. 200 multiple choice questions, sir, I have answered. I say I have cleared in first attempt 79 percentile marks. It's not that I can't answer MCQ and all. It is, I am aware of MCQ, but there the questions are totally practical. Straight away practical. Similarly, IAS exam, first prelims. Chalo, the oil paintings are in which cave? Ajanta, Ellora, Elephanta, like that. Mahabalipuram. Rock cut temples are in which place? Mahabalipuram. That type of question, yeah, MCQ. But analytical questions, if you use MCQ, very confusing. Anyway, the views expressed herein are the views of a poor idiot called Srikanth, not the views of the institute or the views of the Board of Studies. Okay, penalty for failure to maintain register in accordance with the provisions of 88.1 and 88.2. Company 3 lakhs. Every officer in default 50,000. See, if register of members is not maintained, okay, then it is a compoundable offense. I already mentioned now. This offense, if you say register of members is not maintained, you can go to the RD or the tribunal and say, sorry, we are not maintained. Now we are maintaining it. I will pay the compounding fee. Please withdraw the prosecution. So that they withdraw it. And that's all. Form MGT1 and MGT2 require details of nomination also to be entered. See, shareholders and debenture holders have to name a person as nominee. So that in the event of the death of the person, the shareholder, the nominee will get the shares. So that nomination also should be entered in the form. Entries in the register should be authenticated by the company secretary. So every time I update the transfer or allotment, the company secretary of the company should sign. In case such a company secretary is not there, any other person authorized by the board, even the CFO can sign. And also the date of board resolution authorizing the same shall be mentioned. Entries in the foreign register shall be authenticated by the company secretary. Let's quickly skip some of these points. It's not very relevant. Where shares are held in the name of a minor, the name and details of the minor's guardian shall be entered in the register of member. Name of a minor cannot be entered as a member. Minor cannot be a member. If a minor is the holder of the shares, then the name of the guardian shall be entered in the register of members. Mr. and Mrs. Taneja recently got married and jointly purchased shares of New Hopes India Private Limited. Question in the institute material, I'm just discussing it here. Mr. Taneja intimated the company that only the name of his wife should appear in the records. Only the name of his wife should appear. The secretary is not sure whether this is possible. Now the answer is, sorry, no. There can be joint shareholders. The joint shareholders can give instruction how their names should appear. But they cannot say only one person name should appear. No, Mr. Taneja can say, after marriage, I have become a slave of my wife. From now on, I will do only what she says. So please put her name as the first holder. No problem. But he cannot say only the name of his wife should appear in the records. Okay. So joint holders may request the company to enter their names in a certain order. Or they can even split their holdings and hold it separately. That's not the problem. If you want, he can say if he's holding 1,000 shares, he can give 500 to his wife and make that her share, his share. But he cannot say we will jointly hold the share and only her name should be there. Okay. Because both are members. Okay. And the order will be determined by the seniority will be determined by the order. Order can be decided by the member. He can always instruct the company in which order. In case Mrs. Taneja becomes the first holder, then she will get all the notices, she will get the dividend, etc. Right? So, there is something called beneficial interest. Friends, to understand this topic 89, you have to understand that in this country, people are having black money. When a person has earned black money, it is not recorded. How to then enjoy? So he has to hold assets now. He has to buy shares in companies, etc., investment. Nothing he can do in his own name. He will only do it through a person called Binami. Means his share will be held in the name of somebody else. Now, normally, such cases, nobody will come and say, I am having beneficial interest and all. But this section 89 says, where the member is not holding beneficial interest, he should make a declaration. So, if A is a Binami, he is not the true owner. Then, section 89 makes it compulsory for this Binami to disclose the fact that he is not holding beneficial interest. Nobody will do it. Finally, when they get caught, they will be violating section 89. To my knowledge, no Binami will come and say, I am not having beneficial interest. But later on in any investigation, we discover that he is only a Binami. Then under 89, we will ask him, hey, why you have not given your declaration? That is why this section is there. Otherwise, nobody will come and give this. Nowhere it will be given. Practically, it's not going to happen. If there is a Binami, we discover it somewhere else, then we can say under 89, you had a duty. Why you have not disclosed? And penalty is there. So the declaration should be given in form MGT4 within a period of 30 days from the date on which his name is entered in the register of members. Similarly, any person holding beneficial interest in the shares, now he has a duty to declare, I am having beneficial interest. Though the share is in the name of X, I am the having beneficial interest. Beneficial interest means he is the ultimate beneficiary of those shares. Okay. If there is any change in the beneficial interest, then it has to be informed within 30 days. Now, there could be a genuine reason where they will do it, sir. For example, there may be a situation where he cannot be a shareholder of a company for some reasons. He might want his wife to be. So his wife will be the owner of the share, but he will be the beneficial interest. He may disclose. Even then he won't do, because there is a reason why he is doing it in her name. No, it should not be revealed, right? But if there is no such violation, then he might say, hey, for my own pleasure, I am having her as the owner, yeah. Because she's got lucky horoscope-wise, her horoscope is good, so I am putting her as the shareholder, but I am the true owner. Make a declaration. Nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong in having Binami, so long as the disclosure is made. So whenever the company gets such a declaration, they should file a return in form MGT6 within 30 days. The idea is the central government will get to know this and they will keep it as a record that so-and-so is not the true owner, that somebody else is the beneficial owner. This is totally linked with black money. Unless you understand that, you cannot understand this. So, and nobody who is having black money, who is using Binami, will make the declaration. Tomorrow, when the declaration is not made, he will be punished. Okay. Now, when a declaration by a beneficial owner is not made, then any right shall not be enforceable by the beneficial owner or by the person claimed. That's it. If you have not informed it, then tomorrow you cannot come and say, I am the beneficial owner. Sorry. You have not made the declaration within the time prescribed. Get out. Trust which is created to set up a mutual fund or venture capital fund, etc. Okay. These entities need not file the declarations because they will be holding shares, but they are not the owners. They are holding it on behalf of the unit holders. See, the mutual fund or the venture capital fund is not the owner, yeah. They are collecting money from all the unit holders and investing. So, but they need not make any of these declarations, right? They can hold it in their own name and there will be. But fact is, they are not the owners. The unit holders are the actual owners. Okay. The exemption is given to mutual funds and venture capital funds. In case the company has to pay dividend, even if the beneficial owner's name is disclosed, they can continue to pay the dividend to the person whose name is mentioned as the owner. Central government can exempt companies from the provisions of 89, etc. In case there is a failure, there is a fine of 50,000 and 200 rupees for every day up to 5 lakhs when you fail to declare beneficial interest. If the company does not file the return, then the company is liable for a fine of 1,000 rupees per day, restricted to 5 lakhs. Officer, 1,000 rupees per day, restricted to 2 lakhs. Government companies are exempted from Section 89. Section 90 talks about significant beneficial owner. It's an individual who, acting alone or together or through one or more persons or trust, possess one or more of the following rights or entitlements. Sir, earlier there is a definition of significant beneficial owner. I am not covering it here. It is in the institute material. I am not covering it. This is the amended provision which I am covering. Okay. If anybody has any of these, if he possesses any of these rights or entitlements, then such person is called a significant beneficial owner. Means he is holding indirectly or together with any direct holdings not less than 10% of the shares. That is by himself or through Benami. Holds indirectly or together with any direct holdings not less than 10% of the voting rights. Has the right to receive or participate in not less than 10% of the total distributable dividend or any other distributed in a financial year through indirect holdings alone or together with direct holdings. Has the right to exercise or actually exercises significant influence or control in any manner other than through direct holdings. See, when I hold shares in a company, direct holding. Okay, indirect holding we will see. What is significant influence? Power to participate directly or indirectly in the financial and operating policy decisions of the company, but not control or joint control. That is, he is not. It is impossible to find out unless you conduct an investigation. So later on in final examination, you will study investigation. When the investigation is done, these things will come up. They'll find out that through, they'll really put the screw on the employees and the other directors, and then they will say, sir, we don't know anything, sir. We are doing only what that fellow is telling us. That fellow will be the guy who is participating directly or indirectly in the financial or operating policy decisions. Got it? Now, what is majority stake? Holding more than 1/2 of the equity share capital or 1/2 of the voting rights or having right to receive more than 1/2 of the distributable dividend. Okay, that is called majority stake. Direct and indirect. When an individual holds any rights or entitlement directly, then that is called directly. Okay. Even if the shares in the relevant company representing in the name of such individual or he acquires beneficial interest and he is disclosing it under 892, that will become direct. Okay. Right. Now, every reporting company shall give notice in form B and 4 to any person who the company knows or has reasons to believe has significant beneficial owner, of having knowledge of the significant beneficial owner, etc. Friends, again, this is a section which is there to punish. If there is a significant beneficial owner, who will that fellow be? He'll be some powerful person. Dada. You mean to say this company directors will have the guts to file Form B and 4 about him? No, according to us, so-and-so MP is having beneficial owner of the company. They have the guts to do it. Later on, when an investigation happens, they will say, no, sir, we don't know. MP is only running this company. At that time, we will ask, why have you not filed Ben 4? That becomes an offense. Okay. So understand it practically that this will never happen in real life. But if it discovered in an investigation, fellow is liable. He is getting caught. Because there is a duty to disclose or send a notice to the significant business owner. Also, you have to maintain a register of significant business owners, okay, which can be inspected, etc., okay, by any member, okay. I mean, I'm being a little skeptical about this, and rightly so, I hope, okay. Where a person fails to give to the company the information required, then the company can go to tribunal, and within a period of 15 days, and the tribunal will direct that person to give the information and all. Sir, that is the fellow who is controlling these guys. You mean to say these guys will have the guts to go to tribunal and all? Simply this provision is there. Okay. then they will give opportunity and then direct that person to give the information. Okay. Right. Every individual who is a SBO, significant beneficial owner, should file a declaration in form BEN 1 within 90 days from such commencement of his beneficial ownership. Again, the company has to report it within 30 days. This is similar to beneficial owner. Here, when I'm holding only 100 shares as a Binami, then the guy who is the actual beneficial owner is a beneficial owner. But when he is having these conditions are satisfied, when these conditions are satisfied, then he becomes a significant business owner. 90 will be applicable to him. Right? So on and so forth. Right? It's all very purely theoretical and purely, shall we say, hypothetical. No SBO will file. They will hide it. They will be discovered. At that time, you will ask him, you have contravened section 90. Then there is a penalty like that. Okay. Not only that, this will become a problem in MPMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, FEMA, etc., etc. The reporting company, not failing to give the information, the SBO will be punished. The company also is punished. 1,500,000 per day up to 5 lakhs. Officer, 25,200 per day up to 1 lakh. Right? As I told you, this is slightly tedious sections, boring. That's why I kept it to the last. If I had begun with this now in the institute material, this topic will be the first topic you have to study. You get totally. So my suggestion, don't do that. Read meetings, become thorough, then do it in the order in which I am doing. You'll be better off. If you no, sir, institute material, first page to last page, I will study. Baba, your choice. I will not interfere after me. Okay. So as usual, there is where the SBO or officer in default intentionally furnishes false or incorrect information, then they will be liable for fraud under 447. I hope you remember 447 from prospectus. I even shared the slide. Heavy penalty. Okay. Including imprisonment. Right? Suppose they give false information. Government companies are not covered by section 90. Provided they have filed the annual return and financial statement. Whenever I say exemption to government company, section 8 company, private company, automatically you should understand they should have filed their returns, etc. Okay. Now we are seeing power to close register of members or debenture holders. See, in those days, when the manual registers were maintained, there was a need for companies to close the register for the purpose of updating the ledgers. Therefore, the law gave them some time to close the register of members and debenture holders. During that time, it's called closure of books, book closure. No transfer will be registered during that time. So, if the company has announced the register of closure of the register, they will say any transfer received after such and such a cutoff date cannot be updated until the closure is over. During the closure period, what they will do, they will update the ledger by posting manually. Today, it is all maintained in electronic form. I don't have to close, but still the provision is there where they say a company may close the register of members or debenture holders by giving 7 days notice or such lesser period as specified by SEBI. So the registers may be closed for any period not exceeding 30 days at any one time and for an aggregate period of 45 days. In those days, this 30 days and all was needed because we have to update the ledger, post all the entries, then tally. So it took time. Today it is electronic. Today what we do, suppose we want to declare dividend or bonus shares or rights issue, we announce a cutoff date and say any person who has sent the transfer till the cutoff date, if your name is updated on the cutoff date, then you will get the bonus. Beyond the cutoff date, sorry, you will not get the bonus. Like that we say, but still book closure provisions are there in the books, section 91. Now, if you don't give notice and you close the books without giving 7 days notice, then the company and every officer who is in default shall be liable to a penalty of 5,000 per day up to 1 lakh. However, this offence is compoundable. Compounding means you pay a compounding fee, then they will excuse you and they will say you are not guilty. Okay? You will study 441 when you come to the final syllabus. Private companies also have been exempted from giving public notice when they are closing the register of members. During closure of the register, no, it cannot be inspected also. During the closure date, it cannot be inspected. Again, I assure you, this was relevant in those days when manual was maintained. Today, in today's format, it is not important. So, 92 is again a very interesting and important section. Annual return. See, along with when the AGM is conducted, along with that, the annual return should be filed in form MGT-7. In those days, it was called Schedule 5 format. Today, it is MGT-7. Exception, OPC and small company need not file. Okay. OPC and small company will file it in MGT-7A, which is an abridged format. Basically, the annual return, okay, tries to find out what happened during the last 1 year. So, you should give details as on the close of the financial year regarding registered office, principal business activities, etc., shares, debentures, etc., who are the current shareholders on that day, who are the current shareholders and all. Also, members and debenture holders, etc., changes. In fact, today, annual return is uploaded electronically, not manual. Details of promoters, directors, key managerial personnel. Details of the meetings of members, board, how many meetings were held, etc. The format is MGT-7. Remuneration of directors should be given. Any penalty or punishment which was imposed on this company should be disclosed. And if you have gone for any compounding, that should be disclosed. If any appeals have been made against such penalty, should be disclosed. Any certification of compliances, etc., disclosures which are prescribed. Okay. So on and so forth. So the annual return is a summary of what happened to this company for the last 1 year. It is a public document, can be inspected. Along with the financial statement, which you will see when you come to accounts, these two together, you have to compulsorily file. Non-filing for more than 3 years, if you don't file this annual return and financial statement, company can be struck off as defunct. So 92 is a very important compliance. Every company except OPC and small company should file annual return in MGT-7. OPC small company, MGT-7A. Annual return has to be signed by a director and the company secretary. Where there is no company secretary, by company secretary in practice. Okay. In the case of OPC, it should be signed by company secretary. Where there is no company secretary, by director. Okay. Certification of annual return. The annual return filed by a listed company or a company having paid up share capital of 10 crore or more, or a turnover of 50 crore or more, shall be certified by a company secretary in practice. Just like the auditor signs the financial statement and declares it to be true and fair, the company secretary will give a certificate that the annual return is correct. The certificate will state that the annual return discloses the facts correctly. Here they have to say correctly, not true and fair. We have the benefit of true and fair. They cannot say fair. They have to say correct and adequately. And that the company has complied with all the provisions of the Act. So this is a certificate given by company secretary only for listed companies and companies having paid up capital of 10 crore or more, or turnover of 50 crore or more. This annual return should also be placed in the website. Very, very important. Copy of annual return shall be filed with the ROC within 60 days from the date on which the AGM is held. Financial statements within 30 days. Annual report within 60 days. Where no annual general meeting is held, then within 60 days from the date on which the annual general meeting should have been held. Do you remember the 3 rules of AGM? 3 rules: closure of financial year, 6 months, 15 months between 2 AGMs, 1 AGM to be held in every year. Based on this, you have to triangulate and come to the last day by which the AGM ought to have been held. From that day, within 60 days, you have to file annual return, even if you have not held the AGM. Company cannot say, we have not held the AGM, therefore we will not file annual return. No. Even if you have not filed the annual in the AGM, you have to file the annual return. Right? See, parallelly, when we come to financial statement, we will discuss it. Here, remember 92. Okay. In case there is a penalty, there is a for non-filing, okay, 10,000 for company, 10,000 for initial failure, 100 per day up to 2 lakhs for continuing offense. See, because you have to file it within 60 days. On the 60th day, 10,000 rupees. 61st day onwards, till you file it, 100 rupees per day with a cap of 2 lakhs. Same thing for officer in default, 100 per day, cap of 50,000. Company secretary in practice, 2 lakhs. Okay. If he is giving any false certification, okay, where he is certifying it otherwise than in accordance with this section, then 2 lakhs penalty. Right? The registers and returns that we have discussed should be kept in the registered office of the company. It can also be kept at a place in India, okay, other than the registered office, where more than 1/10 of the total members reside, if approved by special resolution. Okay. These registers and returns are available for inspection, okay, by any member, debenture holder or other security holder, and by any other person on payment of fee. Right? So members register, debenture holder and all can be inspected by public also. See, whenever you see inspection provisions, please be clear. Who can inspect? When? Okay. Who can inspect? Any person. Okay. Register of members, register of debenture holders, index of members, any person. Okay. Member can also. Member, debenture holder or beneficial owner can take extracts. But if he wants copies, he has to pay a fee of 10 rupees per page, and such copies should be given within 7 days. The register of members, debenture holders, etc. should be preserved permanently and should be kept in the custody of the company, etc. Okay. The register of debenture holders or security holders should be preserved for a period of 8 years from the date of redemption of debentures or securities. So, register of members permanently. Okay. Whereas register of debenture holders for a period of 8 years from the date of redemption of the debentures or securities, they should be in the custody of the company secretary or any other person authorized by the board. Any document filed with the ROC also should be filed for a period of 8 years from the date of filing with the ROC. Right? Foreign register of members shall be preserved permanently till it is discontinued. Then it will be transferred to the principal register. Foreign register of debenture holders, 8 years from the date of redemption, similar to normal register. In case a company refuses inspection, there will be liable. The company and every officer liable to a fine of 1,000 for every day, subject to a maximum of 1 lakh during which the refusal or default continues. Central government can also direct an immediate inspection of the document. In this case, central government is as usual the regional director. The register of these registers, indices, copies, etc. Shall be prima facie evidence. They can be produced in a court of law as evidence. Right? So, with this we have completed the topic management and administration. Wow. It's a very long topic, right? But we have completed it. Just go through it. Friends, this time I've been a good boy. Yesterday night, I have uploaded these PowerPoint presentations along with the PPT form, PDF form, along with the assignment for meetings also. Management administration, I have uploaded yesterday. One more thing I have uploaded is, see, I'm going to close now, so no need for break. No need for break. I'll be closing in another 5 to 10 minutes. I will close the class. So no need for break. Okay. Now, don't worry about me. I do not need a break. Never I will need a break. Don't worry about me ever. I will never need a break. Okay. I can go on. I have conducted classes for 8 years and all. Physical classes I have conducted, crash courses and all. 6 hours, 7 hours continuously we will go. Without a break we will go. Students also will attend. Anyway, we will be closing the class in another 10 minutes. Please bear with me. Hold on. Coming to the point. I have also uploaded a PDF document containing the solutions to the assignment questions. Along with that, I have given the reasoning also. So I don't think I have to work it out again in the class. Kindly go through the solutions which I have uploaded. If you don't understand still, maybe in some future class when I am having the good fortune to address you, you can ask me. I'll clarify it or send a query to the institute. They'll forward it to me. Okay. If you don't understand the reasoning, I have done my best to keep the reasoning as simple as possible. I have quoted from the section wherever applicable, or I have given case law wherever applicable. To my knowledge, that should be enough. But if you still feel you have a doubt or you feel I'm wrong or there can be another way of looking at the situation, would love to hear from you. Send a mail to the institute. They will forward it to me. Right? So please do go through that. For meetings also, I have given the management administration also, I have given the solutions. So up to now, whatever topic I covered, all the assignments, solutions are with you. All the PDFs is with you. So no problem. To my knowledge, students should not have any issues. Okay. Indices means plural of index. Index is singular. There's, see, register of members, one index. Register of debenture holder, one index. So two indices. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for all your support. If you see one thing, I'll tell you. If you are answering a question, just give me 5 more minutes to talk like this. One is institute questions, multiple choice questions are one type. We already saw that. Other than that, institute, any law paper, the questions can be like this. There can be a pure theory question. Pure theory. What are the provisions of the Companies Act relating to maintenance and of minutes? Pure theory. That is only the answer should be a theoretical answer. ICAI does not ask pure theory questions. No way. Institute questions will always be testing your ability to apply the knowledge. They are not university level questions where what are the matters requiring special resolution or give 4 matters requiring special resolution. No. It will be, they will give you a situation and ask you to apply the law as you've learned it, the rules, the circulars, etc. So, a theory question don't expect. What they could ask is, they may give you a practical situation and based on that they may ask you a theory question. In that situation, they'll say, advise the company. In which case, you will have to give the law. In simplified form, write in 3 or 4 lines, that's all. The last is the real tough one, where they give you a situation, it has to be analyzed, and you have to answer the question. Many of the questions I discussed in the class were like that. Whether the chairman is correct, whether the quorum is present, okay, so on and so forth. So there, you have to use a 4-step method. First line or first paragraph. Represent the facts. Read the problem and understand what the facts are and what sections are implied. Based on this awareness, represent the facts so that the examiner knows that you have framed it correctly. Then go for write the law, the provision of law which is applicable clearly, maybe in your own words. That itself will give the examiner enough assurance that you know the law. Then, 3rd paragraph or 3rd line, apply the law to the fact. Say, in this instant case, the company has not given notice within 21 clear days. Compute it. The company posted the notice on such date. The notice would have deemed to be received by the shareholder on such and such a date, which is less than 21 days before the date of the meeting. So this is where the analytical part will come, where you are applying the law to the fact. Lastly, see what the question is. They will ask you, is the notice valid, or has the company given valid notice? Now you answer the question and say, in view of the above, the company has not, N-O-T, not capital, given proper notice or valid notice. That is a conclusion. Underline it. See, the examiner, when they are reading the question paper, in a hurry, he'll be going. Suddenly he'll see the conclusion. Conclusion is the answer. Correct. He's happy. Then he will read the balance portion. Then he'll give you more marks. If you present it in this 4-step process, the chances are you will get more than the normal marks. Suppose an examiner is willing to give. See, no CA exam you will get 100%. All very rare. If one or two people have got it, I salute them. I fall at their feet. Sashtangam. Let's leave that. Average student like me cannot get 100. But what we can aim for is 90. So out of 5 marks, I can aim for 4.5 marks. 5 on 5, chalo yaar, half mark. 4.5 is more than 5. Come on. 3 marks is great for 5. 2.5 is enough. If you're getting 4.5, you're a rank holder range. So your aim should be to get 80% to 90% of the mark allotted for each question. So that overall you'll be able to get 60-70%. This is how we have to approach the exam. Every question is unique. Read it, understand it, answer it. Okay, this is my humble view. Since somebody wanted me to tell something about how to present, I'm taking the liberty of wasting your time by giving you such useless information. But still, if it's useful to you, I'll be the happiest person. I wish you all the very best and pray to God that every one of you should clear the intermediate examination with flying colors and go on to write your final examination and become a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Wishing you a great weekend ahead. Bye. Thank you for all the good words. Okay. I don't know about this. Ask the queries. I don't know. Board of Studies people answer it. There are some excellent people in the Board of Studies, great company secretaries and chartered accountants. They answer your questions. Sometimes they consult faculties like me also, and I give my inputs to the best of my knowledge and abilities. Okay. Thank you. Wish you all the very best. Bye. Sir, class over, sir.